The abandonment wound is one of the most common reasons that people end up sabotaging themselves in relationships, in friendship, in business, and even in their health and fitness. Wondering how to deal with an abandonment issue? Check out this video. Hi, I'm Tiffany Toombs, and I am a trauma healing and high performance mindset coach. I've worked with thousands of people across the world to help them heal all forms of trauma so that they can take their life and their power back. In this video, I'm going to share with you where the abandonment wound started and how it might be showing up in your life. Then I'm going to share with you 2 things that you absolutely must do in order to heal this wound for good so that it stops having control over you. The abandonment wound is one of the 5 core wounds that we might experience or develop when we are in childhood, specifically between the ages of 0 to 7. So from the moment that we're born until about 7 years old. Now, this wound is ultimately created anytime that we feel like we have been left to fend for ourselves, or anytime that we feel like we won't be loved or accepted if we show up as who we truly are. So we feel like we have to abandon ourselves and who we truly are in order to be loved, accepted, or connected with other people. Now, there's a couple different ways that this wound may have been formed. Now, it surprises a lot of people to know that if we had parents who were unable or did not set strong boundaries, especially when we were toddlers, that can create an abandonment wound. Now, there's a really great book called Raising Lions that outlines this whole concept, and I'm going to share the metaphor that they use with you there. Now, toddlers specifically need boundaries, and they need gentle conflict or something to bump up against to figure out what their role is in this world. If they don't have any resistance in their life, then their concept of themselves becomes really big and their concept of everybody else becomes really small. And so they start to think that they are the only ones with power. And in this book, Raising Lions, they call it the hand method. So when toddlers are pushing boundaries or attempting to push boundaries, firstly, it's important to know they have no idea what they're doing. They're not doing it on purpose. They don't know that they are being bad or good because babies are born without any morality. They're taught good and bad by their parents. So the toddler will reach a hand out. They will start to push our boundaries to see where the power meets them. Now, if they reach their hand out and there's no resistance at all, so these are the parents who don't set boundaries, who, when the toddler hits somebody else, they attempt to distract them, but there's no really consequences to negative behavior, then what happens is this can create the abandonment wound because now the toddler feels like they're the only ones with power. And they're a toddler. They don't have a whole lot of tools and understanding and resources to meet their most basic needs. And so when they reach out and there's no other hand there, they then feel abandoned. When they reach out and they're met with strong boundaries, strong but gentle boundaries, then what happens is they start to feel safe knowing that there's somebody else there that has power and that can help them. The other way that abandonment issues and abandonment wounds can be created during childhood is if there is a lack of one parent. If one parent has left or one parent has passed away, that can create an abandonment wound. But also having a parent who's emotionally unavailable can lead to an abandonment wound. If you have a parent who is physically there, but they don't attach to the child in any way, they don't validate the child's feelings or even the child's existence, that can lead to the child feeling abandoned. How does the abandonment wound show up in your life? Well, it can cause us to hold ourselves back in all sorts of ways. We then develop a fear of other people abandoning us, and so we will betray who we truly are or what we truly need. Maybe we don't express our opinions, we don't ask for our needs to be met, we ignore our own needs. Maybe we don't even voice our preferences just for the sake of being loved and accepted by somebody else. It can cause us to choose relationships that validate that we are going to be abandoned. And I know this seems totally backwards, but our mind works in a way that it validates the belief systems that we have. So if you believe that everybody is going to leave you, then you will find relationships where everybody will leave you. I had this wound for a very long time, and I remember specifically thinking to myself, everybody leaves me. And I got into a relationship. This was the relationship that kind of broke the camel's back and led me to my healing journey, which I'm grateful for. But in that relationship, I remember saying to my partner at the time, oh, I'm sure you'll just find somebody better at some point. And lo and behold, he did while he was still in a relationship with me. But these are the ways that we sabotage friendships and relationships, is that we look for people who will validate the belief systems that we have. Now, of course, you're doing this at a very unconscious level, so it's not like it's your fault. It's not like you're seeking it out. But what you'll notice is when you start to heal this wound, then that behavior will start to disappear. It also causes us to hold ourselves back in other areas of our life. If you feel like you might be judged, or like other people might abandon you if you become too fit, or if you make too much money, or if you get promoted, you might unconsciously hold yourself back in health, in fitness, in finances, in business or career, so that other people won't abandon you. It can also cause you to hold yourself back so that you don't make somebody else feel like they're being abandoned when you move ahead in your own personal growth. Now, before I share with you what you can do to start healing this wound, I want to remind you to subscribe to my channel. Every single week, I am putting out brand new videos like this one and guided meditations to help you start or continue your healing process so that you can create the life that you truly deserve. So go ahead, click that subscribe button below and like this video while you're there. So the first thing that we need to do in healing this wound is we need to figure out what patterns is it creating in our life. So the first question that I either want you to journal on or meditate on, or just let this bounce around in your head, is where am I abandoning myself? And then you can go even deeper into this question. What relationships do I abandon or betray my own needs, my own desires, my own wants, my own goals in order to make somebody happy? Where in my life am I ignoring or abandoning my own feelings, my own desires, my own reality and dreams that I want to create because I don't believe that I'm worthy of it, or I am afraid that somebody else will reject me or abandon me if I get those things? Journaling and asking ourselves different questions, the what and the how questions specifically, allows us to dramatically open our mind and see patterns of behavior that were not there before. And we can't truly start to heal and fix parts of our life if we don't even know where we're doing it. So when you're with friends, you could even ask yourself, why am I responding to them in this particular way? Why am I having this particular emotion? What does this emotion mean for me right now? What is the story that I'm telling myself about this person's behavior? When we start to dive into all the questions I've shared with you in this part, we can start to see the repeated patterns of behavior that have kept us stuck and kept us validating this abandonment wound, and then we can start to make change. So change happens when we fully commit to ourselves. And because we're talking about abandonment, I know that it's going to be really easy to just watch this video and not worry about any of the questions, not actually do any of the inner work to change. So I'd love to hear from you. Which of these questions will you commit to asking yourself within the next week, whether through meditation, through journaling, or just through simple reflection while you're driving the car? Which of these questions I've shared are you going to commit to asking yourself? Go to the comments below and let me know. Now, because this was a wound that was created in childhood, we need to deal with the inner children who experienced those events that led to this wound being created. So part of our healing process must include reparenting the inner children. Now, I do have a guided meditation on my channel that will allow you to go through this process on your own. And I'm going to share here a couple other ways that you can start to reparent yourself. So the first thing that you can do is you can imagine that inner child, this could be your inner 5-year-old, 2-year-old, 6-year-old, whatever it is, that your inner child is coming out and they are talking to or writing a letter to the person that created the abandonment wound. And just allow and hold space for this inner version of you to dump out everything. Maybe you dump it out in your journal or by writing a letter. Maybe you just speak it out loud in a place where you feel safe enough to do so. The most important thing is we allow the inner child to have a voice, because there was a point in time where they didn't have the voice, and that led to the feelings of abandonment. Now, after the inner child completely empties out, if we've written it in a letter form, we can go ahead and burn that letter. Because you're burning it, I'm just going to say, please use fire safety. Disclaimer, myself, my company, and anybody associated with my company is not responsible for any property damage or personal injury, so please use fire safety. If we have just spoken it out loud, then you might want to sage or cleanse the room with crystals or candles afterwards. Again, please be safe if you're using candles, but we can just allow that space to be cleansed and for that energy to be released from our body. The other thing that we can do is we can start to talk to our inner children. Now, the unconscious mind, which is the part of your mind that is holding on to all this emotional baggage, is extremely symbolic. And so we can imagine that we're having a conversation, or we can visualize it in our head in a meditation, but we can talk to our inner child and ask them questions. What do you need? How can I nurture and support you? How can I show you love? Now, whatever the inner child comes out with, maybe it's go play on the swings or take a day off. We want to make sure we honor these needs and these things that our inner child is asking for by doing them. So maybe you take 5 minutes to go to the park and swing at the swings, or you plan a day off so that you can truly nurture and love yourself. Reparenting is not a hard process. It is a critical and needed process, and you'll find along the way that you'll develop a deep sense of self-love and inner peace by reparenting yourself. Now, if you're wondering the other ways that you may have experienced trauma or that your emotional baggage may have come to be, and you want to know the impact that can have on you long term, I've put together a quiz called My Trauma Score. And this quiz is going to ask you 10 super simple questions, and then it will share with you how this trauma can impact you into your future if you don't start to heal. All you have to do to take that quiz absolutely free is go to www.mytraumascore.com or click on the description in the link below. Thanks for watching.